I showed you this picture of a bat.
Oh,
This.
you're going to do it now?
Okay, I'll
I thought
save
you were
it.
going to save that
I'll
for
save
Mother's
it.
Day.
I'll save it. Never mind. Nope.
I mean, you can. It's up to you, but I mean, you can't let the bat
Nope.
out of the bag.
I'm not letting the bat out of the bag.
All right.
It's gonna stay in here.
A lot of stuff to talk about. First thing is,
Okay.
what does it say on your coffee there? Do you have a Starbucks? A lot of lipstick.
Well, here's the thing. My cup was leaking out the top a little bit, and so yes, I was
Wow.
trying to. There.
That's a lot of
Is
lipstick.
this side better for everyone?
What's up, everybody? Welcome to.
You might want to try that
What's-
again, sir.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Dialogue Podcast. It's been a while.
It has.
It's been a
I was
while.
gonna say,
No
it
particular
felt good
reason.
To hear that music again.
Yeah, just a little
Been a
busy.
minute.
Made me think of a
been
lot
a
of things. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. A lot of stuff to talk about. First thing is, what does it say on your coffee there? Do you have a Starbucks? A lot of lipstick.
You know what?
I feel like you've been on every corner of the top of the.
Here's the thing. My cup was leaking out the top a little bit, and so yes, I was
Wow.
trying to. There.
That's a lot of lipstick.
Is this side better for
It says,
everyone?
"What a great," and then
I don't know. Choice.
what a great
What a great
choice.
choice.
All right, I'm gonna take
They
my
coffee order.
I'm gonna take a guess at what your coffee order is.
Okay.
Cinnamon dolce latte, and you had them subtract a pump, like a pump
So
of syrup,
close.
a
So
subtract
close.
one less pump of syrup.
So close.
Cinnamon dolce latte, one.
With only one pump of syrup. Not
Yeah.
subtract a pump.
Well, they usually do too, right?
No, there's usually like 5
Oh.
in a large.
See,
it's like 4 or 5.
That was an
So,
assumption I made hearing you order it that they would do
Yes.
2 and you asked
Good
for
job
1.
paying attention. Though.
I-
Yours is easy. It's just black coffee.
Yes.
Tall blonde roast.
No
That-
chaser. I don't want anything in it. I've actually never had a cinnamon dolce latte before. Let me take a
You'd
sip.
like a room
Let me
temperature
take a sip.
cinnamon dolce latte.
I'm gonna end up with lipstick now.
Yeah, you are. Your lips are going to be super moisturized.
It's not bad. It's not bad.
That's high praise from you.
It's no straight pike, but I'll take what I can get.
All right.
Another sort of like if you don't care what's happening in our family, you can just skip ahead for a few minutes because we'll have some more
I was
substantive.
gonna say we're going to have to mark in the
We'll have
in
more
the notes
substantive-
where they can jump ahead.
More substantive conversation in a few minutes. But this past Christmas, we bought our daughter turntables.
Let's be honest. We bought all of us these turntables.
It was more of a family gift. We bought her turntables because I've always made these jokes over the years that, when I retire, my second career is going to be, I'm going to be a DJ.
Very specific circumstances as well. for your
I'm
DJ
going to
career.
buy a Winnebago. I'm traveling the country. I'm throwing my cell phone in the trash. I don't know how they'll get a hold of me to book shows, but I'm
Just
going
pop-up
in.
shows,
I've already got
wherever he goes.
I got my stage name, DJ Greg the Stallion. And I'm doing bar mitzvahs, bat mitzvahs. I'm doing birthdays. I'm doing
Primarily
weddings.
a lot of night to shine events.
I'm doing night to shine events. I'm probably going to start a special needs nightclub.
Yes.
And just, if you have special needs, you get in free. If you don't, you got to pay $100.
That's right. And you've got to be accompanying somebody. You can't just come in and crash the party.
No doubt.
You got to be invited.
So anyway, we've talked a big game. Ella was like, look, I'm going to be a senior this year. We've been talking about DJ stuff. Let's buy it. Mm-hmm. And we always sit around. We listen to a lot of mashups. We get probably too excited about mashups. And then we imagine what we could mash up together. Hey, wouldn't this song and that song, blah, blah, blah. But we've never had the tools to do it. So we went ahead and bought it for Christmas. And then we actually signed up for DJ lessons.
Which was, I think, by far
Oh.
the smartest decision.
It was the move.
Like,
Shout
high
out to
praise.
DJ IQ,
Ayo.
who
Such a good teacher.
who's our coach / teacher. And he said, hey, you guys picked up in one day what took me 4 months to figure out on my own.
Because he's such a good teacher.
Exactly.
Truly. I think that's such a huge part of it. I was telling somebody earlier, it's one thing to have somebody be a great DJ, which he is,
Mm-hmm.
but it's another thing for them to be able to start putting those pieces together for you so quickly to
Yep.
make it make sense and help
yeah.
you understand all the building blocks. So just free shout out there.
So we have no idea where
You're
this
so good.
where this is going. But last night was our first lesson, and we just
And the whole family was super
Oh,
into it.
it
Miles
was
was
amazing.
in here bopping,
Oh, yeah.
telling people drop that beat.
yes. And then the whole way home, we just dreamed about mashups. was awesome.
It was. I think a great.
You know, in some ways, this is you remember like when we first started this podcast, and it was like the first of the year, a couple years ago. Mm-hmm. And you were like, hey, I want you to come up with a goal or a hobby that has no productivity. Like
that's right.
Everything I do in terms of hobbies is generally productive. It's like working out, exercise.
I was going to say, you're not very good at hobbies.
I don't really have any. I mean, probably like watching sports a little bit would be like the unproductive hobby, but I don't even watch that much sport. I watch football, for the most part. The other stuff, barely. But anyway, this is now an unproductive hobby.
It could argue be, it's not unproductive, but still.
That's not the goal, though. I don't care if these things see the light of day.
It took us 2 years, guys, but we got him.
It'd just be the fun of mashing up two songs and bonding with you and Ella and Hudson and Miles, and that'd be great.
Love that.
How were the holidays for you?
Good. Insane, busy, but fun. We had a bunch of really random things leading into the holidays that added a little razzle-dazzle to my season.
Oh, dude. Gosh, everything broke on the house.
We bought a lot of things for Christmas we didn't want to buy.
Yeah.
Like
sump pump.
A new oven and a sump pump and a big chunk of pipe in our backyard that had to be dug up. So that was an adventure. That was all also happening in like the 48 hours prior to Christmas.
Right. And Santa didn't pay for any of that.
No, he didn't. I asked him to cover at least one of those things. He didn't pick up a single bill.
Nope.
So it was frustrating. But yes, overall, we made it.
Yep.
Really great services here. It was so much fun. I was a bigger part of decorating here for Christmas this year, which was super fun, like just getting to be a little creative with what we had. And everything at home. Like I enjoy the holidays. I start super early. I'm one of those people that's like Christmas shopping in August. So I think because I can't recommend that enough, like get way ahead. I'm most of the way done with my Christmas shopping or planning by Halloween. Mm-hmm. So that way the next couple months, like I can slowly start wrapping. Highly recommend the gift list app if anybody's like the primary gift buyer in their family. It keeps everything organized by person. It keeps a budget for you. It's like you can keep track of what you have an idea for, what you bought, what you wrapped. So good.
You really are great at getting out in front of Christmas shopping, and I always feel a little bad because I'll be around people who they're like going like, oh, I haven't done my shopping yet. Have you done yours? I'm like, actually, Shaylyn had it done before Thanksgiving.
Ours is all wrapped.
It's all wrapped. And, I'm not bragging because it really was Shaylyn, but you do a nice job.
I will tell you, I know I've had to learn this about myself the hard way. So I've been the person on Christmas Eve wrapping, till the wee hours and like stressed and not enjoying it. And I was like, I'm just never going to do that again. So I try to get way ahead on holidays, period. Like I'm now done with Valentine's Day stuff and starting to put together Easter baskets. Cause it's like life gets busy, it catches you. And then you're there the night before going, what do I throw in a basket?
Mm-hmm. So. All right. I'm going to ask you a question today.
Okay. I'm ready for it.
In the substantive part of this. Are you ready for that? Or do you want to talk about other menial?
Let's I'm done with menial.
Okay.
I'm good. Let's dive into the meat.
All right. So, like most subjects, this has complication to it, right? So I'm going to kind of introduce the complication and then get your thoughts on it. Okay. So I think about when I was growing up, I grew up playing sports, and that was a great microcosm of life because you learn how to be on a team and you learn how to deal with ups and downs and develop some disciplines and keep showing up and all these kind of things. And one of the things was if you got injured or you got hurt, generally, especially in that day and time, you were encouraged to just not make a big deal out of it, right? So the term was like, hey, just rub some dirt on it, right? So we were kind of taught not to pay attention to the injury, just keep rolling. Mm-hmm. And in fact, it was sort of a badge of honor
to play hurt.
Yeah, if you played hurt.
Yeah.
And if they ask you how you were doing, you say, I'm great. No, I'm fine. Mm-hmm. Like I'm not hurt. I'm good. And of course, as we look at that, you think of that as a microcosm of life, like playing hurt, right? Mm-hmm. Being a mom or dad or being a leader, owning a business or leading a team or whatever you do, you can't expect to do it. And you're always feeling great.
Sure.
And so I think there's been a lot made of the idea of just rubbing some dirt on it and acting like it's not there, which I think has caused some people to not acknowledge the difficult things in their lives and just stuff it down and then create bigger problems, which again, let's say it wasn't the type of injury you could just rub dirt on. It was a bigger injury, and now you do more damage. You end up in surgery, which I'm actually a testament of. In ninth grade, I hurt my wrist. I kept playing, and it turns out I had a broken scaphoid, which is a small bone in your wrist. And if I just rested it for a little bit, it would have healed, but I kept playing with it. I kept breaking it, re-breaking it. So I ended up with a screw in my wrist and surgery. So the idea of you can't always just rub dirt on it. But then I think there is also the other side, which is when you start making a big deal out of every little injury, okay, now you end up making things bigger than they are. You're missing games. You're missing what you need to do when you could play through it. But now every little turf toe or every little stub toe is the end of the world. And so I think, especially if you think generationally, the previous generation was more of the stiff upper lip, just, shut up, go play and rub dirt on it. And I do think there's been more of a pendulum swing towards a sense of empathy around trauma and hurt and all these things, but could almost swing too far at times to where it's like, dude, just get back in the game, right? So how do you think about that as it relates to if it's a broken arm, that's one thing. If it's some of these more hard to define things like when you're struggling emotionally or you're working through some event, some disappointment, some hurt, some betrayal, a broken heart. When do you know in life when it's time to take yourself out of the game, and when is it time to rub some dirt on it?
Very good question. And I would say actually the first thing that comes to mind is actually a step before your question comes into play, and it's the idea of an ounce of prevention, right? Is worth, what's the rest of the saying? It's
a pound of remedy or something.
Yeah. And I think one of the issues that we have had in the swing from the rub the dirt on it generation to the take yourself out of game generation is that we have skipped the step of preparing well for difficult life events. And we have tried to bubble wrap people, kids, young adults. We've delayed or tried to prevent them from experiencing hard things when they're young. And because we've done that, we've left them at such a severe disadvantage in their coping skills when they get older. And so a stubbed toe, metaphorically, mentally, emotionally, whatever, is going to feel like such a bigger deal because you've never dealt with things like that before. And so now all of a sudden, as an adult, you're facing it all for the first time without the support system around you as a kid, right? So in the same way with the physical metaphor, that training properly is incredibly important for developing the muscles and the strength and the conditioning, the stretching, the things that are going to support your body to be able to play the game well and have less of a risk of injury, right? I think we've done a bad job of equipping people with good training so they are more injury prone, if that makes sense. So I think that's actually a root problem that we really have to address that kind of comes before your question even comes, right? I don't think that the idea of just rub some dirt on it is a good idea for a lot of things, especially something really heavy. Like if it's hitting you hard, that's a terrible move to make because you're going to just internalize it. You're going to bury it. It's not going away. You just stuffed it down where it can fester and come out sideways. I know I've done that. I used to be hardcore of rub dirt on it and just do it. Just toughen up, It's not that hard. Just do. That's served me the least and the people that I love. It's been the least effective coping strategy.
I would say though, yes. And no one can speak for you better than you, but I've also noticed in life, as I've kind of observed your life and other people's lives, I've noticed there have been times where there were things that you definitely could have sat there and made a bigger deal out of. And there was a sense of like, look, it is what it is. And me sitting here and holding my arm isn't going to do anything. Right. I've got responsibilities, things people I can't let down. So it's not even really worth talking about. I'm just going to rub some dirt on it and get back in the game.
So I hear you on that, and I agree. I guess it depends on the situation and our definition of it a little bit. So I was speaking a little bit more to kind of some of the deeper wounds maybe, right? Mm-hmm. That like you really need to take some time to unpack and heal. And it doesn't mean that it has to derail your day-to-day life, but you do need to carve out some time to talk about it, mm-hmm. to address it, to feel it. Mm-hmm. I'm the type of person that compartmentalizes my feelings and my thoughts often. And so then when I do integrate them, sometimes that's a struggle for me. It can A, be hard to do, or B, it feels combustible to me when I put the two together, because that's not naturally like what I tend to do. So you got to make space for that.
So in your own head, how do you separate those categories? Because there have been times, like I would say, like in our relationship, where I could see you struggling with something or suffering a little bit. I'd be like, try to talk about it, and you're essentially like, dude, there's nothing to talk about. It sucks, and I'm gonna suck it up, and let's talk about something else.
Yeah.
And then other things that you're like acknowledging, like, no, this is more of a put a cast on it. Yeah, like actually, we're gonna talk about this. We're gonna keep bringing it up as long as we need to mm-hmm. get through it. How do you, think through how your brain works? How do you categorize those two things as you're trying to figure out what to talk about, what not to talk about?
A really excellent question. And I think I guess I haven't really thought about that super clearly in the sense of like articulating it, but I would say for me, it's like, okay, what are things that I can change and things I can't change, right? So something I can change is maybe a viewpoint that I have that I realize is rooted in something kind of poisoned in my heart, or it's internal work that I need to do to wrestle through to become a better person. That is changeable. I have control over that. But things like maybe I feel like we talk about it a lot, so I apologize, but maybe if you're new here, you're not aware, both of our sons have autism. I cannot change that. There's nothing I can do. So especially during the very difficult seasons of their younger years where they were really, really struggling. And you've got 3 young kids and the church is young, and it was like everything on the plate at the same time. You've got, 2 Thanksgiving turkeys worth on a dessert plate, felt like. What good is it for me to sit on the side of the road and cry, right? Like sideline myself and just go, I can't. Girl, you gotta, you know what I mean? Like people are depending on you, and yes, you can have a moment where you cry or you express frustration or, you go through whatever, but like you have to keep showing up. Mm-hmm. There are people that are depending on you. Any progress that is going to be made is dependent on you being consistent and showing up. And so like that is where I think those are the types of situations that I go, what good is it for me to just sit here and like be in my feels? Mm-hmm. That is not serving me or anyone else for me to mope about this. Now, again, please hear me, people. If you are grieving something like that, like I'm not saying ignore it. Mm-hmm. If you need to deal with it, deal with it.
I think it's also seasonal, because the subject, right? There's a time to, shed a tear or to take a moment to sit in some sort of grief around what you lost with your sons and all of that type of thing. But you might go like in that moment, you're like, this moment right here, that's not going to help me.
No, it's
to
not
be faithful.
Helping me or the people I care about.
Right. I need to I essentially know what I need to be able to get through this day or this week or this season or whatever it might be.
Yep.
So it's not time for that yet.
That's right.
And so I remember I saw a coach recently, and he had been through a lot and done a lot and succeeded. And they were like, hey, when are you going to sit down and, think about, all the things that he's like, well, there'll be a day for that, but not right now. We have a game next week, so I'm not going to sit around and whatever. Right. So there are certain times where you go, I acknowledge that there's a lot going on. There may be everything from feelings of feeling burdened by something or trapped by something you don't want to feel trapped by, or feeling grief of the loss of something you'll never get back, overwhelmed by all the things that the uncertainty of the future. Okay, I got all this going on. I'm going to acknowledge it. As of today, if I start trying to think about all that or embrace all that, I'll drown in the complexity. Right now I have to think simply, what do I need to do today? What do I need to do right now to be faithful to the responsibility that I've been given?
Yep. I think for me, the image that comes to mind, I find myself often thinking metaphorically, kind of like what you were bringing up with the training. It's almost a little bit like if your car gets in mud, right? Like you can either just sit there and be stuck and make no progress, or you can get frantic and spin your wheels and be more stuck. And I think that's something that people tend to do a lot, is either just kind of wallow and go, there's no way out, I don't know what to do, or panic, feel anxiety, and let the anxiety consume them and just spin their wheels and ruminate or take action that's not thought out and make it worse. And I think the third option is you have to just take a beat and go, okay, what are actually my options? What do I have here in the trunk? What do I have? Who can I call? Make strategic plans of how you're going to get this car out of the rut. And I'm not blaming anyone for ever getting stuck in a rut. It's easy to do, but I think it's so critically important to recognize that you are the person that's responsible for getting you out of it. No one else can do that for you. Other people can help, but you have to take the wheel. And the cost of you choosing not to take the wheel can be really great for you and the people that you love. And the people that love you, I've seen it in real time recently, with people that I care deeply about, that are going through some things. And it's hard to watch sometimes the decisions that people make that lead them into some really dark places. And now it's so much harder to get unstuck because you let little injuries compound, and you didn't get yourself back on track. So it's super important. You can stop somewhere for a minute. Don't live there, And I'm also speaking as somebody that's walked through deep depression that was really felt all-consuming. And I think what you said about what do I need to just get through today, the next week, that whatever. There were times I would just look at my phone and I was feeling so overwhelmed in a moment, and I would go 3 minutes. You can make whatever decision you want to make after 3 minutes, but just lock in. That's all I had was 3 minutes. That was my max capacity. That's okay if that's all you've got. Do the 3 minutes, reevaluate, breathe, get through another 3, get through another 3. Pretty soon you've gotten through another day, and you're like, I can do this. And you can start climbing your way out, but you can't just give up and sit there. You have to take action. And I think that's another piece where what I said about the prevention side of it is so critically important. You can do that for your kids, and you can do it for yourself, just like you would physically train as an athlete to protect your body in a high impact sport or whatever. It doesn't mean you won't ever have injuries, but you're going to have far less. And they're going to impact you much less. And then your recovery is going to be quicker. You're going to have strategies in place to help you recover. We can do that with our kids, number one, by helping them experience some hard things as kids, but we walk with them. Our job is not to shield them from it, except for the most devastating things happening to them, right? You need to keep your kid alive. You need to keep your kid protected from predators. Those are the obvious. But your kid might get bullied at school. Your kid might, struggle academically. Your kid might go through the loss of a loved family member or friend, or, you know, even as little kids, their friend might have cancer. You know, we can't shield them from experiencing those things. We need to just walk with them through it. And in an age-appropriate way, explain to them what's going on. They're not dumb. They can feel the pain in the air, the tension in the air. You know, kids are intuitive human beings. But now if you try to protect them, you're just leaving them feeling confused because they don't understand what's going on and feeling kind of afraid and unprepared. Like, oh, there's this big scary thing that all the adults are trying to keep away from me. And so then when they do have to face some of those things by themselves as a young adult, it feels terrifying because they built no skills, no coping skills on the way up. And I would say as an adult, it's our job to continue to build our coping skills. We can't give up on that ourselves either. It's our job to make sure that if we're feeling like we're starting to burn out, we build a little more rest into the schedule. We build a little more fun. We build a little more time with friends, trusted people, loved ones. Maybe it's time for therapy. You know, you need to be at church. You need to be in community there, get in a group. Like, be aware of your own strategies to go, I'm feeling this little nagging thing, you know, shoulder injury vibe. I'm going to take care of it so that it doesn't become something that cripples me. It's not to say that life will not occasionally throw you an absolute knockout blow. We've recently had people we love that, you know, we've watched them have to have funerals for loved ones and, you know, unexpected things and really heavy stuff for some people. And there are things in the world at large that are heavy for some people right now. But the more that you do your best to nourish your spiritual, emotional, mental self, the better equipped you will be to prepare with those kinds of things, and the less often you will need to completely remove yourself from day-to-day life. Yeah. And if you do, I will tell people, like, if you do have a life-altering blow hit you, it's okay to take a beat.
Yeah.
Like, I think sometimes people feel like pressure to just be over it, you know, because the people around them are, and they're like, man, but I'm still feeling a wave of grief. That's okay. Like, ride it, you know, and just take care of yourself, rehab yourself properly so that you are good to get back into life for the long haul.
If we stay with the metaphor of like the kid that gets injured in the game, and is it time to rub dirt on it, or is it time to take it way more seriously and miss games or whatever? You know, you come out of the game, you ask what's going on, and then you know, a knowledgeable person starts going, hey, bend it this way. Can you do this? Can you do that? And if certain things are, you know, painful, or you can't even move it that way, then they know something bigger is going on. I would say, you know, what you mentioned a moment ago when you were saying, hey, sometimes I just had to get through the next 3 minutes. I think if somebody's in that position where it's literally all you can do, takes all of your harnessing your full willpower and focus and positive energy to get through 3 minutes at a time, it's time to ask for help.
Definitely.
It's time to step out of the game. Like,
yourself.
no. Like, this isn't like you can't live 3 minutes by 3 minutes by yourself for the rest of your life. You're going to need to get to the root of that, because that's not feasible. So that's an indicator that, like, this isn't a rub dirt on it type
Correct.
thing. And whether or not you even know why it's gotten to that point,
sure,
it's time to help untangle some knots and figure out, you know, we need to be able to define reality here. So I was thinking about, okay, again, back to, there's some complexity to it, but I was thinking about people who are injured, and staying with the metaphor, you got the player who comes out, you know, they mess their hand up or something. They come out and it's like, they're trying to take them out of the game. And they're like, no, I'm good. They keep saying they're good. And I think it comes in all shapes and sizes, that if you take kind of the way I'll describe it athletically, think about it in the real world. So you have some people who I think essentially want everyone to know they're playing hurt so that they are put in some sort of hero status. So in, sports lore, you have people like Willis Reed, he was injured and he played for the New York Knicks like 50, 60 years ago, and comes in game 7. He's limping up and down the court, but they win the game. And so forever, like Willis Reed is the guy you draw on, is the guy who showed up and played hurt, because he was so selfless and so heroic. Kirk Gibson hits a home run in the bottom of the ninth, literally hobbling around the bases of the World Series. So, I think sometimes people, it's almost like they want everyone to know they're hurt. I'm not saying those guys did that, by the way, but my point is they want everyone to know they're hurt. And when people are like, dude, you're like limping around, and they're like, no, I'm good. But I think there is sometimes, like, you even kind of see it with players where you're watching, it's like they kind of make sure everybody sees them grimace, and then somehow they're okay on the court, and then they go to the sideline and they're like, I'll assume the best, maybe it's real. But I think sometimes it becomes a little theatrical, and a person kind of needs to understand, like, look, you're not becoming a legend by acting, I don't know. I think it gets played up sometimes. And so I think you got to be honest with yourself. Like, is this something that, I'm getting some kind of hero complex. I'm getting some sort of ego boost. I'm getting off on the attention that I'm getting of everybody going, are you okay? Are you okay? Like, by the time the 4th, 5th person asks you if you're okay, like, you either need to, like, rub some dirt on it, or you need to take yourself out and go figure out what's going on. But I think sometimes, there is that thing that, for whatever reason, people kind of fall into, almost finding some identity in being that hero. And then I think you have people that are essentially going, look, I'm hurting, but I'm not quitting. I'm in this game. This is not enough to keep me out of the game. And they start to get annoyed with everybody asking them how they're doing, because essentially I'm hurting, and you asking me isn't going to make it any better. And we have a job to do here. And I don't want everybody asking me how I'm doing instead of thinking about what they need to think about to do their job. And so I think sometimes, whether it's parents or leaders or people in general, downplay it. Like, I'm okay, I'm fine. Because if we're all sitting around hovering around my injury, then we can't all do what we need to do to accomplish what we need to accomplish.
I think you have to be careful with that one too, because the first one may be about being a hero in other people's minds, and the second one could be about being a hero in your own.
Yeah.
So I think, you really have to be as self-aware as humanly possible.
I think both of them could be about being a hero in your own mind, right? Like the first one being in other people's minds and in your mind, because again, you start to sell it like, yeah, gosh, look at me, I'm out here. And then the second one as well, again, could be like truly a selfless act, which is part of the way I serve this team is I will, I'll take on this pain, I'll make as little deal about it as possible, because I know if it's not, some catastrophic injury, it's going to get better over time. I need to buy my body time to regenerate and to, fix it. And some of it could be you truly being heroic, and some of it could be in your, like you said, in your own mind.
Yeah. And I do think trying to be careful that you're not bleeding all over everybody, right, is really important. It's one thing for people to know you're going through something. It's never another thing for it to be like the only thing we ever talk about, right? So I think that's interesting when you brought up the whole, like, only being able to function for the next 3 minutes type of thing, being a signal that you need help. Absolutely. Like, you can't just handle that on your own. And at that point I didn't, right? When I got to the point that I realized this is really, really bad. And like, I've tried to structure my own way out of it, and it's not getting better. It's getting worse, rapidly. Then it was like, all right, I need to come to you. And I remember telling you, and like, I hated that. I felt embarrassed. It did not feel good to be able to say that. But I needed it at that point. I knew there was no way I could get through that by myself. And that's where I say, when you find yourself stuck in the mud, like, you have to be intentional. You're not going to be able to get your car out by itself at that point. If you've been spinning the wheels and you're like, this thing's not going anywhere. In fact, I'm sinking deeper. Call for help, get help. and then start putting structures in place. It wouldn't have been enough for me to just tell you that I'm struggling with this. I had to then make changes. I had to go to the doctor. I had to, we had to talk about some deep things. I had to be honest with you about, hey, this is the support I need. And once you start putting those things in place, then you can make progress. But just saying, it's like Michael Scott declaring bankruptcy, right? Like it's not actually going to change anything if you don't make any changes surrounding that. Probably a point of clarity I think I need to make here when I say that I never took myself out of the game, so to speak. I guess it depends on what you mean by taking yourself out of the game. Because even when I was down to my 3 minutes at a time situation, I was still getting up and getting the kids to school every day. I was still doing my job, or, still showing up and taking care of the things that were my responsibilities. So it's this is probably something for us to discuss a little bit here, right? Is there a time where it's better for you to fully take yourself out, to drop some responsibilities, or to, is there a time to just stay in bed? I don't know. For me personally, probably, just my wiring, I couldn't do that. I knew I would really just be stuck and sitting there. I needed to stay in motion to be able to get out. I'm curious your thoughts on that.
I think you ask for help. I think you have to ask for help because, and there may come a time where you say, I need to have a period of time, even if it's a few days, where I don't have anybody counting on me for anything in terms of getting someone on the bus or cooking dinner or running errands or whatever. I need a few days where I can have a few sleeps or something. And to get that help, I think what ends up happening a lot of times is because people feel like they can't, they get to a place where they push through the injury so much it never fully heals, or they just literally can't do it. And then now stuff starts getting dropped. So having responsibilities means that I'm taking responsibility for certain things to get done and taken care of, and it's my job to do that. It doesn't mean it's my job to do all those things. So I think if you're at this place where you're like, I'm so overwhelmed, I got some mysteries going on in my head that I need to figure out, then I think it's not that you're taking yourself out of the game and going, I'm going to, I'm going to quit on life. But look, you and I had a person in our life who had a drug addiction, had 5 kids, and a husband that was, their children's father was behind bars, who needed to go to rehab for a year.
Yeah.
Okay.
That is it. Take me out of the
needed
game
to go to
situation
rehab
for sure.
a year, and didn't go to rehab for years because of those responsibilities. Mm-hmm. And the best thing that ever happened to her was she put her children into mm-hmm. someone else's care mm-hmm. for a year. And all of those responsibilities were delegated to some others. Mm-hmm. She went and got clean, and she's clean today.
Mm-hmm. And it was the best thing she ever did for her kids as well.
That was 17 years ago. Mm-hmm. I talked to her son the other day. He's like,
she's doing great.
Still clean.
Yep.
So bottom line is, you're not dropping, she was dropping the responsibilities before she went. By going and getting the help, she wasn't dropping the responsibilities. She was actually handing them off,
right,
and going and getting what she needed. Mm-hmm. And it saved her life, and in many ways saved her kids. Mm-hmm. So I think you got to go, where am I at what point, and what's the best thing to do long term for everybody around me?
Yeah, that's really good.
I've got a bunch of thoughts on this, but I want to be careful on time. I have one more thing I want to ask you related to this.
Okay.
And then
let me check the time.
Yeah, where are we at?
I have to be mindful of bus.
Oh.
I've got time.
All right. How much time?
30 minutes.
Okay. This shouldn't take that long.
Okay.
Okay. So I was talking to a friend the other day, and they were talking about the season of life they're in. They've got so much uncertainty. we always have uncertainty, but sometimes you have
More than
more than other seasons.
Yeah.
And she was asking me about, hey, how do you essentially have peace in the moment when you have all these things looming out in front of you? And so I was actually thinking about, although her life situations and mine are quite different, but in our building project, it's been in many ways torture chamber, in that there's been all of these open loops that I have no power to close. I'm dependent on whether it's engineers, architects, the city engineers and architects, the planning commission, all of other people making decisions, and they'll say, hey, we'll let you know in 4 weeks. And then in 4 weeks, they're like, well, we knew this now, we don't know that, and it'll take 6 weeks, up to 6 weeks. So you just have 6 weeks at a time that'll 6 week you to death, to where we're delayed a year and a half. All that to say, like, it's been like this gigantic thing that is on my mind. And yet in that last few years of this, you and I have taken 150 dates. I've come home to my kids every night. And I go, how do I, while I'm struggling with something or suffering with something, how can I have quality time, have some measure of peace, without having you guys feeling like dad and husband is always thinking about this, and then it just robs me of the most important things in my life. So I'm not saying I'm sure I haven't hit it out of the park.
Job.
Well, I appreciate
no human being is perfect, but you have done an excellent job.
I've done my best. I can say that.
You've been very mindful of it, and that's the best anybody can do.
So what I told my friend was, okay, you're going to have these things you can't fix today. You have to cope with. It's an injury of sorts that you're going to have. It's not going to feel better today. So what do? Well, you focus on something else. It's what I preached about recently. If you have a lot on your mind, okay, and you want to control what your mind thinks about, fill your minds with the things you want to remember proactively, right? Deuteronomy says 30 different times, forget not or remember. It's saying choose what you think about. And when you do that, it will actually push some things out of your brain you won't be able to think about. So instead of taking you to dinner and us going to dinner and me just talking about the building the whole time, I'll talk about a podcast I just listened to, or we'll have a conversation like this about something philosophical.
We've both been reading the same book.
Let's talk about this. Next thing I know, I am fully immersed in a subject that I'm passionate about. It has nothing to do with the thing that's uncertain. And so in a sense, it becomes a welcome distraction, right? In another sense, it allows me to kind of take that thing and put it on the shelf and actually come over here and grow my mind and thoughts. It's energy producing, while this thing over here is sucking the life out of me if I focus on it. Right. So I think the reality is, and by the way, this is true of physical injuries. If you've ever been like hurting and you start, all of a sudden your mind engages on something else, it actually it works as like a numbing agent a little bit. You kind of forget that you're hurting. I remember, again, we were visiting a friend in the hospital recently who was literally suffering so bad he eventually died. But as he was suffering, we all went, are you okay? What can we do? How can we help? And he's like, just keep talking. Well, what did he want? Take my mind somewhere else other than the fact that I'm in pain. So I think I want to get your thoughts on that, like a healthy way to do that without sticking your head in the sand and, essentially procrastinating dealing with things that you should deal with or being in denial or something like that. But to go, what is like the idea of a welcome distraction and the ability to take sometimes areas where you're going to have to struggle and suffer for a period of time and to not have them consume your mind and thoughts, to be able to think about other things in a healthy way versus in an unhealthy way?
Few thoughts. It was interesting when you said thinking about a distraction in pain. It took me back to, I think, was it Miles when we turned on the Wisconsin game? Season opener. I'm like, sure, just put it on. Like, I need something to distract me.
Let me tell this story real quick.
Go ahead.
So Shaylyn, Miles was born on a Thursday night. The college football season kicked off on a Thursday night, and it was Wisconsin versus somebody, I don't remember who. And the game was on. I made a joke. I was like, "Hey, you want to watch the kickoff of college football?" And you're like, contractions are getting closer and closer together, and you're like, "Yeah, please turn it on." And I was like, "What?" Like I was like, I thought you were gonna be like, "Dude, shut up," and you were like, "No, please go ahead and turn it on." I text my friend. I was like, "My wife wants me to turn on the kickoff of college football, and she's about to have a baby." And he said, "Don't do it. It's a trap." but you were like,
comic relief was the best.
Yeah, you were like, "Let's watch this football game so that I'm not just sitting here thinking." Go ahead.
But I think it's interesting because at the same time, with all three of our kids, there comes a point where it stops being about distraction because you're like, this is fully enveloping me at this point. There is no distraction. And so then you have to choose to reframe the pain. Instead of feeling like, oh my gosh, I can't do this, I would just think every wave that hits me took me closer to my kid. Like, took me closer to holding you for the first time, took me closer to your first breath and hearing you, and and so it's like giving it purpose, and it gave me something to look forward to, and so now I'm fully immersed into it. Like, I'm ready. I'm welcoming each one as much as it hurts because I know what it's bringing me. And I think sometimes it's the same thing with personal growth. There have been times that I've been kind of peeling back layers on an onion of something personal that is really uncomfortable. And I don't like going there, and I don't like thinking about it, and I don't like working through it. But I recognize that on the other side of this wave, there's something better for me. There's a healthier me on the other side of this. And so it is worth diving headlong into, as uncomfortable as it is, because there's a gift over here that I will not reach any other way. So I think that's part of it when it comes to, sometimes it's, you need a healthy distraction. You need to take your mind off of this nagging thing. And then sometimes there's something that you just have to go, no, I'm going to lock in and I'm going to reframe. Instead of focusing on the pain, I'm going to focus on what the pain is bringing me and what am I going to get on the other side of this. And then I think also keeping perspective. Like you and I have talked on here before about, you're kind of a big deal. You're kind of a big deal, right? Like that balance between recognizing that you're this one in however many trillion chance that you exist, and you're the only one of you that's ever been here, and all of these main character things about you, and yet at the same time you're one of billions of people that are here and have existed before you, and your life is finite, and right, so it's that tension. So staying in that tension and having that proper balance. And I think one of the things that can really help when you are struggling through a painful time is going, okay, there are other things happening in the world around me, big and small, that are important, that are beautiful, that have nothing to do with me, maybe even, and yet I can celebrate them and find joy in them. And that helps me reframe my own pain in the greater scope of the universe. So for example, you and I were talking the other day. I showed you this picture of a bat. Oh, this
you're going to do it now?
Okay, I'll save it.
I thought you were going to save that for Mother's Day.
I'll save it. Never mind. Nope.
I mean, you can. It's up to you, but I mean, you can't let the bat out of the bag.
I'm not letting the bat out of the bag.
All right.
It's going to stay in here. But there have been plenty of times. For me, it's something that happens often in nature, but in life in general, right?
I think I have the framework, by the way. Go ahead. Finish your thought, but I have a framework to help with this. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Go ahead.
That's it.
I interrupted you.
No, I'm afraid I'm going to let the bat out of the bag at this point, so go ahead.
Are you sure?
Yep.
Okay. So here's what we're trying to create a framework for. When I'm struggling on something, I need to just go ahead and rub dirt on it. It's going to subside, but I've got to get through it. It's hard. I'm struggling. The idea of what is a healthy distraction, what is not a healthy distraction.
Sure.
Right? What's an unhealthy distraction, or what is a healthy distraction? And I think the framework is on the concept that we've talked about here a lot, which is in the Bible, you have this idea of the world, the way God intended, is this concept of shalom. So it's connection to God, peace with ourselves, and peace with the world around us. So I think when you're looking at healthy distractions that may not be contributing to the specific issue at hand, anything that connects me to God, connects me to myself, or connects me to
Other people,
a person, others
Yeah.
around me. So like what I described earlier about, I would come up with a conversation. I have in my phone, like I would say, hey, I'm taking you to dinner tonight. I got this thing I want to talk to you about. I've been thinking about, I can't wait to run it by you. And okay, what was that? It was a conversation that had nothing to do with the uncertainties in our lives or some solution, but it just connected me to you. And so that was a healthy distraction. We just bought turntables, right?
Right.
Is that productive? No, but you know what it is? It's a connection.
Right.
It's a connection to myself. It's a connection to my family. We're working on this stuff together. We sat around and brainstormed. What if we mash up this song with that song? And we laughed together and we high-fived each other. Welcome distraction. Things that connect me to God, right? Whether it's walking through his creation and just oohing and awing over his color palettes and his intelligent design, whether it's a song that connects me to him, whether it's a scripture, peeling back a layer, has nothing to do with my issue at hand, but it just connects me to God. So things that connect me to myself, one of the reasons I think you love science so much and nature so much is it connects you to God, but it also connects you to you. You feel very yourself and you're comfortable in your own skin when it comes to, nature and all of that. So I think those are welcome distractions. I think what's unhealthy distractions are things that drive us further into our fear, things that cause greater anxiety, or things that cause isolation.
Right.
By isolation, I don't mean there's no time to be alone, because there is a time to be alone. Solitude is a
It's
positive, healthy thing.
Agreed.
Isolation is a whole different animal. So these things that are pushing people away from me, making me afraid of the world, making me afraid of the future, making me afraid of myself, making me afraid of the people around me, is going to cause me to push people away. So I think if you look at what are my coping mechanisms, what am I using for distractions? If there are things that are causing more fear and more isolation, you probably need to trade those in for things that are connecting you to God, connecting you to yourself, and connecting you to people around you in a meaningful way.
Yeah, I agree with that 110%. Absolutely. I think that is a really healthy framework for whether something is a good distraction or is destructive for you.
Well, this is a good place to end because you got to finish that cinnamon dolce one pump. And you got to go get the kids off the bus.
Yep, I got to drink this cold coffee on the way to the bus
Yep.
stop.
All right, Mikey, take us out, bro.
All right, let's get it.
Hey.
You could
See you next
remix
time.
this on the turntables for the next episode.